There's a lot of mistakes that people are making with stretching, and in this video I want to show you some examples of those with a hamstring stretch. I also want to look at the concept of 3D stretching or stretching through 3 planes of motion. So if we look at a very simple hamstring stretch, I'm just going to pop my foot up on a step, chair, block, whatever here, and I just start to come forward here. Research shows I want to hold this for around 3 minutes to get some results. Now, how long you hold it also depends on the intensity. And one of the biggest mistakes that people make with stretching is they're not putting enough intensity into it. Intensity doesn't just mean going further. There's some really cool things we can do to increase the intensity of these stretch without necessarily just going further. And these things that we can do actually will increase our strength through our range of motion, as well as have some positive effects on things like our tendons as well as our muscles. So if we look to come into our stretch here, I've got my knee slightly bent here. I'm going to drive my heel down into the step here in this motion as hard as I can once I reach my end range, and feel a contraction come into the hamstring right where it attaches to my pelvis. Now, you'll notice here I've just moved forward in a straight line. One of the other big mistakes people are making is, firstly, when we're looking at something like hamstrings, not realizing that it's 3 muscles, not just one, and these muscles respond to force in different ways. All muscles are going to respond to multi-directional force, not just things in a straight line. So we need to look at how can we input that into our muscles, not just for the fact that we want to address that single muscle in a multi-dimensional component, also the fact that whenever we stretch, we're not just stretching one muscle, we're stretching multiple muscles and lots of stuff. So we want to make sure we're inputting load into all these different ways of moving and applying tensile load. So in the front to back plane, I can look to come here, arch my back a little bit and come forward, get a stretch in the top. You'll notice my knee's bent. So the hamstring is a biaxial muscle, crosses the hip and the knee. So we can manipulate where we want to feel it. So I want the contraction here for an isometric. I'm going to drive my heel down, feel it up here. If I round my back now, straighten my leg, drive down, I'm going to feel it down lower. If I want to give some rotational load to this, I might reach my left hand forward with my right leg here and rotate, and I can start to feel this more laterally. If I wanted to accentuate that and I move my hip towards you in the frontal plane, I'm going to really feel a strong lateral loading here. Now we could look to do these movements one at a time. Stretch here, rotate, or combine them all together to get the most amount of load that we put into a muscle. So really combining that 3-dimensional loading to look at getting both our hamstring muscles and all the other associated tissue. Now obviously then we want to look to move it, learn to use it, get stronger, etc. This is just a phase 1 strategy in my Stretch Yourself Strong system. Phase 1, we're looking to improve our range of motion, and research time and time again has shown us that stretching is the best way to achieve greater range of motion. Not the best way to keep it, not the best way to get stronger, but that's what we're going to do in the subsequent phases. So if you have any questions around how the whole system works, any questions around that, please ask. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one.